Hello and welcome to our Studies After IGCSE A-Levels talk. We will allocate the first 5 minutes for you to check in before we start the session and for our host to get prepared. So please check in by uh, heading to the talk, the open chat, and just go up and click on the button. Please check in below for our session. For those of you who have just come in, just go to your chat and chat of this community events tab and just go up and check in, and we will begin in a few minutes. Please note that we will record the session once it starts, and we will release the recording as well as the slide later for everyone to use later on. So just give us a few moments while we get set up for the event. Please hold on. Oops.
we're going through some technical difficulties right now. Apologies. Just give us a moment.
Okay, guys, can you hear me? Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just download the slides and I'll just present it on my PDF viewer. I think that would be better. I apologize for the delay. So I am audible, right? So, okay, can you invite Sajid as well? Okay, give me a moment.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, let's start. Okay, is my screen fully visible?
It is.
Okay, so let's start the recording as well. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so for today's session, we'll just introduce ourselves first. Then we can go for what are A levels as compared to other pathways. And we can see how many subjects that we would recommend you to take and what subjects to choose and tips on what you should and shouldn't do as a prospective student according to what we can advise and our A level experiences. And then we'll answer previously sent and live questions. And then we'll try to accommodate questions which you can, ask right now, which is live questions. We'll see if we have time for that. Please bear with us. I apologize for all the delays. Okay, so we have three hosts for today, including me. We have KG, which is me. I did my A levels at the end of last year. I did my IGCSEs before that, around 3 years ago. And I'll be attending Georgetown University in Qatar this August for a degree in international affairs. We have Sajid, who has completed 8 O levels, and he is currently doing his AS levels, for which he is waiting for his results. Notably, he is a private candidate and he is self studying since the start of his A levels. Then we have Viper, who completed 10 IGCSE subjects, which is quite an achievement, I would say. And he did 4 AS levels, and then he dropped chemistry, and he's awaiting his final A level results. He'll be attending the University of Manchester in September for a degree in electrical engineering. Okay, so what are A levels? Okay, so A levels, as you might already know, is a British-based program similar to the IGCSEs. It's generally studied in the last 2 years of your secondary or high school education. So normally, is the stream good? Okay, so normally the IGCSEs or O levels, which is basically the same thing. It's around 2 years, and then your A levels is basically the 2 years right after that. But the content is much more in depth than IGCSE, and you take less subjects. So normally we take 3 to 4 subjects at A level, as compared to 7 or 8 or even 10, like Viper did in IGCSEs. You don't need to take that much. But for A levels, it's 3 or 4. So give me a moment.
KG, I think we are unable to view your screen.
Okay, give me a moment. Okay, if you are unable to see the screen, try disconnecting and reconnecting. I think it might be a network issue because some people can seem to see the screen, some people can't. Okay, I'll try to minimize the screen. What do you call it? The resolution. Okay, I'll just make it 720p, 30 frames per second. Okay, so please try to access the screen.
Yes, I think it is better now. Yeah.
Is it better now? Okay, okay, yeah, I decrease the quality. Yeah, okay, yeah. If as long as it's visible, it should be fine. Okay, so the A levels is generally split up into AS levels, which is generally done in the first year, and A2, which is done in the second year. Both your AS and A2 is combined to give you the final A level score. The A level is mostly offered by Cambridge overseas, and Edexcel and Oxford AQA also offer their specific exams. Now, all these exam boards are equivalent, and the international A levels is equivalent to whatever they offer in the UK. So it's equivalent grade for grade. That is what they say, but the actual differences lie in the specific subjects. But generally, they are considered equivalent, or at least in the same depth or same level. But the actual topics or stuff you might study may differ depending on the subjects. But the level is the same, which is important. Okay, so what are A levels, as compared to other pathways? So we have two other common pathways. We have the IB diploma and we have AP testing, which they do mostly in the United States or in international schools, which follow an American style curriculum. So as you can see, A levels, you take 3 to 4 subjects. Content is more in depth, 100% exam based, and normally you don't take additional subjects such as English or psychology, sorry, philosophy, unless your school mandates that you take AS English. This mostly applies to Indian schools. So you don't have to take anything additional. You just take the subjects, that that you are more inclined towards, or which is more suitable for your degree that you're interested in. The IB diploma is the closest international equivalent to the A level. For the IB diploma, you take 6 subjects normally, 3 at higher level, which is, I would say, is more similar to an AS level, and 3 at standard level, which is a bit easier than AS level. But the thing is, you take 3 of each, so you take 6 subjects, which is like double. So I think we are having screen problems again. Please bear with me. I shall adjust the resolution once again. Is it okay now? Okay, so yes.
It's okay. Go on.
Okay, so if you have screen issues, please disconnect and reconnect. You should be able to connect. This is a common Discord bug. I think from what I can see, some people have problems, some people don't. So please disconnect and reconnect. So for IB diploma, you basically take more subjects, but the content is less in depth. But the exams are more of coursework. So it's not just fully exams. You kind of have to do assignments. You kind of have to do other things as well. Okay. So you kind of have to do other things like theory of knowledge, extended essay, which is part of the IB syllabus, but none of this exists in A levels. For AP testing, AP is more similar to the SAT, which is offered in the US and overseas as well. So it's done online. The IB diploma and A levels is mostly done on paper as compared to the AP testing. So how many A-level subjects to take? Most students take 3 subjects, which is the minimum requirement for most universities around the world. Now, this also includes Oxford, Cambridge, American universities. The minimum is 3, and they expect that you take 3. But if you want to be a competitive applicant to such universities, like top universities, especially Ivy Leagues, US universities, MIT, Stanford, etc., you should take 4 subjects to make yourself more competitive. Some people say you should take 5. I think that's a bit overkill. Don't take more than 4. If 4 A stars is better than four A's and a B. So 3 to 4 subjects, but most students take 3 subjects, and all 3 of us are doing 3 subjects as well. You should take So there's actually no limit from the exam board as to how many subjects that you can take, but we don't recommend that you take more than four or five, more than five, since it will be challenging for you to manage the time. The depth is a lot more as compared to IGCSEs or O levels. This is why we recommend not doing more than four. Sajid, would you like to take over for this section?
Could you please tell me the slide number? I can't seem to see the screen.
Oh, okay. Can you try reconnecting? I'll just take
So
over
just
from
tell
here.
me the slide number of
Which,
section.
the one with the. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe later on. Maybe later on.
Okay.
Okay. So you should choose your subjects based on your interests and future opportunities that you envision from said subjects. So you kind of have to narrow down, what degree you're interested in, or what field, or what area of study you're interested in. This might be hard for some people. It might be easy for some people. For me personally, it was hard. So what I would recommend, just go into a certain area, sciences, humanities, commerce, social sciences, and then pick subjects from that. So later we will actually give you like, subjects that you can take, normal A level subjects, which is, offered in countries around the world, and then you'll just have to narrow down from there. So you will have to kind of get an idea of what you want, but you don't need to fix that. I want engineering, I want biomedical sciences, etc. You don't have to fix that 100% just yet. If you have a general idea of sciences or humanities or commerce, you can go from there and select your subject. Since there is not a very long list of subjects that you can choose from. So we will share with you that list in the following slide. So what grades you need to get, or what subjects that you kind of need. One thing you could do, even if you're not interested to apply to a UK university, you could just look at some UK universities, because they have very specific requirements. So as you can see, this is from the University of Bristol. As you can see, if you want to do engineering, mechanical engineering, they ask you to do mathematics, and they ask you to do sciences such as physics, chemistry, further mathematics, computer science, electronics. Electronics is not offered overseas. So you have computer science, physics, chemistry, maths. So you kind of already have the subjects that the university asks you to do. So you kind of have to choose these. But for some subjects like law, so for some, degrees like law, they don't really give you any subject. They might recommend like a essay-based subject. And what essay-based subject basically means that it's like a humanities type of thing, humanities or social sciences, where you get to write essays. So it's like history or economics or even psychology. Those are the subjects I did. So yeah, it really depends on a lot of factors. So these are common A-level subjects offered internationally. You will need to look at what your school offers, and if you're studying privately, you have to see if you can find tutors or lecturers which fit within the budget that you have for tutoring. So so the common combinations, if you take sciences, you would normally take two out of the three sciences. You can opt to take all three sciences and maths, but you can take two sciences and one maths as well. And marine science is a bit more rare. And you have further mathematics. Further mathematics is normally done alongside mathematics, since mathematics itself is like IGCSE additional maths. The AS level portion of mathematics is basically the same as your additional maths. So further maths is like additional maths. So it's basically on top. So you have to do max and further max in most cases. But this does depend on the school. So I think this you should definitely clarify with your teacher if you're interested in taking further max, because your max must be at that level that you can cope with the curriculum. So you will have to advise this with your school or with your teachers or with your tutors before proceeding. If you look at humanities and social science subjects, okay. So if you look at humanities or social science subjects, we have quite a few. You can just have a look. And we have commerce and arts subjects. So we have business, accounting, computer science, IT, and we have economics, psychology, history, geography, law, sociology, literature. language. Some schools, especially those in India, they ask you to take English language AS. So if they kind of ask you to do that, you kind of have to proceed with that, or else it's not needed really. We have additional, which because some universities don't really like to recognize languages or general paper as like a subject, but a lot of other universities do. But if you take the common subjects, it's usually recognized. So some people do ask, if you take psychology or sociology or accounting, is it recognized, or business? Yes, in most cases, unless you go to a university like LSC. They like to pick on what kind of subjects. They don't like accounting or business or vocational type of subjects, but almost all other universities will recognize all the subjects here, maybe except for the languages, but most of them will take those two. The exception is that this additional thingy here, thinking skills or IPQ or extended project qualification, which is basically like a project type of thing, which is done like a coursework. These two are not recognized, and global perspectives as well. These are basically enrichment or additional subjects, and universities just like to see it as an additional. And usually, in getting offers, especially for the UK, they matter very little. So, I would not advise taking those subjects honestly, unless your school provides it and you would like to enrich yourself in a sense. But if you're not really that interested in that, or if you want to save on the cost of those classes or those exams, you don't need to do that. Personally, my school offered thinking skills, but I decided not to go with it since there were additional costs involved, and I didn't really feel it was necessary. But do take it if you are interested in it, and if you can take it, then you could. It is an option available to you, if it is, that is. Okay, so we have tips on what you should and shouldn't do as a prospective student. Sajid, maybe you can take over from here.
Right. Thank you, KG. Thank you guys for having me as well as a host for today's session. So these are some of my tips that I hope will help you. So firstly, stress early to relax later. What I mean by that. So what you ideally want to do is finish your syllabus as quickly as possible, but like without over pushing yourself, but try to finish the syllabus as quickly as you can so that you have time to slowly take the past papers when you are close to your exam. So the exams in May, it's about in May, I believe, right? Oh, sorry, it depends on the session you're taking, right? So let's take May as an example. Uh, if you are finished with your syllabus by, let's say, January, then you have February, March, 3 months about. You have about 3 months to do your past papers, and the more time you have, you can relax a bit. You can just let those stresses go away. And the last thing I believe you would want to do is be stressed when you have your exams right away, right? And the next thing I would say is grind as much past papers as you can. So the more, I think it's quite obvious, but as as you do more and more past papers, you get to see different types of questions. And I believe, the more you make mistakes in them, well, that's a problem. That's uh, Mistake itself is not much of a problem outside of your main exams. Outside of your main exams, they can serve to teach you, because when you make a mistake, you get to understand that you are lacking in somewhere. You have maybe you don't understand some things you thought you did. So, yeah, so you can grind as much past papers as you can. Ideally, at the very least, I think it's recommended to at the very least go for 5 years, the recent 5 years, but try to go beyond that without overstressing yourself. Next, I would say work on your discipline. Now, I think it's very difficult to stay disciplined in this day and age. Like so many distractions everywhere. And the problem is if you like study on, let's say, your laptop, then you always have, you just have that urge to maybe check some things from time to time, you know. So ideally would want to form a good discipline. You would want to keep your let's say if you want to like relax, take them to for the later stage of the day, and after you wake up, try to not engage in pleasurable activities. What I mean by that is maybe just YouTube Shorts, Facebook scrolling, Instagram scrolling, whatever you find relaxing and enjoying. Like try to maximize your day and hopefully relax in the night and work on your discipline because um, motivation doesn't last very long. In the end, you will find yourself, you really don't want to study at times. So, try to work on your discipline, make it stronger than before. Next, accountability partners. Now, this might help you or this might not. It depends on the person, I think. So, if you maybe you can have some friends of yours, or it can be maybe, or it can also be your parents. Maybe it's more helpful if it's your parents. So, just ask them to, take an account of your study, like what's your progress, how far you're going, are you reaching your study plan, and yeah, moving on to the study plan. So the study plan, I believe, also helps you to managing your studies. Ideally, you would, as I said earlier, that you won't want to get stressed at the end of the sessions. So you should make a good study plan. Make every week study plan maybe. Get some few days off as well because you would want to relax as well. Like don't over push yourself, but don't get too lazy either. Try to stick to a study plan. I think that also helps with your discipline. What I personally try as well is try to make a list of to do things that you do at the beginning of the day. Like set your priorities and share them with your parents, and if possible, that is. And if you can report to them after a week or 2 weeks, then that helps as well. Finally, the last one, I think this is a bit important, or it might not be, however. Anyway, so revise content once in a while. So, what do I mean by that? Now, let's say physics, you studied one chapter, and then you moved on naturally. However, you moved on too quick, and you realize after a while that you forgot what you studied back in chapter one. And that actually happened to me. And that when that happens, you're essentially wasting a bit of your time. I mean, it's not a complete waste, however, but because the next time you do, let's say, revisit those texts, it will take a bit less time. But however, you would want to, like, it's ideal that you don't miss out those times. You know make the most of your time. So just revise the contents like slightly. You just have to do it a bit by bit. Just maybe take a slight reading, maybe do some few exercises. For maths, I honestly like, for edX we have, if you take further maths as well, then you have 12 minutes for AS and 12 for A2. So what becomes a problem is you forget stuff from unit 1, unit 2 as you're doing unit 4, 5, or 6. So you would want to avoid that. You would want to revise parts from unit 1, unit 2 as you do the other parts. So yeah, so these are some of my tips, and I hope they will help you. Yeah. Passing back to KG.
Okay, so let's just briefly run over some tips that we have for you guys on how to study, when you're mentally tired. So first thing first, just do the important, pick up the most important task and do it one step at a time. Use the Pomodoro method. This Pomodoro method, it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. If it does work for you, study the first 25 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes. Do not use your phone during the break as this will divert your concentration. Do the task in small bits. For example, if you must read 10 pages, read one page at a time with full concentration, and then take the break, and then continue. Then reward yourself after finishing studying by doing your hobbies. So actually, I did psychology. We call it positive reinforcement. So you reinforce yourself in a positive manner, and then that would entice you to continue, studying. So you can move on to the next slide. You can make to-do lists every day, but they must be for the next day. Don't make revision timetables unless you're certain you can stick to it. Personally, I would say it's the same. Same applies for the to-do list. Please only do this only if you find it effective. Do not BS yourself by saying you're studying. This wastes more time. Get a study buddy. You can do this in real life, in your school, your classmates, your friends, or on Discord. Our server is a really nice place to meet people, and we have the subreddit as well. Do spaced repetition and the 2, 3, 5, 7 method when revising content. And once you're done with the syllabus, make one-page cheat sheets. This could work for some people as well. You are welcome to try it out as well during your revision period. You can move on to the next slide. Okay, our hosts A-level experiences. Give Okay, so my experiences, I started A levels around 2 years ago, and I finished at the end of last year. It was a lot of ups and downs. I did definitely struggle during my time doing A levels, but I think it is worth it looking back because I think it really helped me to be a lot more resilient. Over time, I had to learn, how to self study, how to cope, how to, actually create materials for myself and revise. This mostly applies to my A2, my final exams. So at first, I thought it will be just like IGCSEs. Oh, my teachers, my lecturers will just feed me everything, and I don't really need to put in as much work, as I need to. But then I soon realized that the lecturers, the teachers actually expect you to do a lot of the work, and the teachers will only do like the ground up, and you will have to build that hill so that you can face the storm that is A levels. That's not really a good analogy, but I think you get what I mean. You the teachers will just help you to build the foundation. You really need to just um, I think one thing I kind of regret is that I didn't really network and connect with a lot of people during my time doing A levels. So what I would recommend to you, people who are going to start, soon this year or next year, is that please connect, please network with people. Our server is a wonderful place to do that. So please discuss, basically use A levels as a discussion point in order to do other things, and then connect it back to your A levels, connect it back to yourself academically. And as a result, I think you could become a better person. You can become resilient. So that's why I still think doing A levels is worth it, even though it might be very challenging. So that's my perspective. Moving on, Sajid, would you like to describe your experiences as a current A level student?
Right. Uh, so guys, as KG mentioned before, I've studied the whole of AS till now by myself. And what I mean by that is I don't go to school. I don't have a school, nor do I have any teachers. I'm studying pretty much by myself from the textbook. The server pretty much helps. Then there's some helpful seniors I have, and what else? Yeah, I did use some chat GPT from time to time. Yeah, so that's like how I've been studying. So what I hope to provide you guys with is the perspective of someone who's has been studying by himself. Also, another fact is I have shifted from Cambridge to Edexcel, if you have noticed that or not. I did Cambridge O levels, but then due to certain circumstances, I had to change to Edexcel. Right. So studying by myself, I learned some, like, it has some good points. Like if you think you are a bit, your pace is fast, then you can, in a short time, you can get a lot of progress done. So perhaps your perhaps, like, let's say a group will take 6 months to complete some things, and you alone, if you do it alone on your own, then you can take a lot less time, maybe even 4 months, and then you have 2 months more to do something else, maybe focus on your extracurriculars, or maybe just relax and take it slow. Yeah, so the extra time really helps. However, there is some downsides as well. One important one is the lack of socialization that I really missed it, honestly. I missed my school, and at times it was really harsh. I just didn't want to study, and my discipline, it fell off. It just fell off, and thanks to that, I didn't study for the first few months properly, not even properly, and everyone was ahead of me. And then, as the exams started to come closer, you know, I started to feel a bit stressed. I wasn't done with my papers. I, as I mentioned in the tips before, that don't forget what you learned. I did exactly that. So I told myself I'm done with my physics, but when I revisited it, I realized that I just forgot everything. I forgot everything, and I just couldn't solve the past papers. It was so hard to me. So I was panicking, and AS was coming in quick, but somehow I just managed to finish it. But there were times when I, even in during the exam, I studied last till the last hour and then entered the exam hall. And and this, it's ideal that you won't do that because you don't want to feel stressed right before your exam. And maybe a bit of light reading helps, but the way I did revise as if I was learning new stuff, that was, that's not suggested at all. Rather, it's best if you can take an hour or two before your exam, just relax a bit, maybe talk with someone, maybe that will help. But
Mm.
these are some of my mistakes that I did. And unfortunately, you know, self-studying, it does provide you with great opportunities. Like, as I said before, that you can save a lot of your time. And then another point is, I think when you self-study, you are learning more actively, rather than if you are, you know well, it's not necessary that you aren't active learning in school, but in school it's sometimes easy to get distracted, and easy to just fall into that passive learning state where you're just listening to your teachers, you're not really thinking, you're just somehow understanding, maybe, or maybe you are not understanding at all, but you know you're lazing around. It happened to me in my school days. So that's one thing you can avoid when you study alone. I mean, if you are focused, that is. Yeah, so there's a lot of aspects to self studying. I think many people think it's difficult because they never tried it. That could be one thing. And many people are very used to learning from their private tutors. So, maybe you can give it a try. you know s- I had to do this because of my certain circumstances. Like, it's a long story, so I won't share that. But due to my circumstances, I had to self study, and I think some people might face that. I Throughout my AS, I have seen some people asking if self studying is actually possible or not. I will say yes, it is possible. However, you will need some confidence in yourself. Without that, you just cannot proceed. Uh, One another thing I noticed in self-studying is when I was doing my past papers, I was a bit nervous when I tried to match them with the mark scheme. So I thought, if I think it falls into whether or not your judgment skills are good enough. and if you are confident enough on that, then you can use a mark scheme to your full use. I was skeptical at times whether or not I am marking myself correctly. So I think even if you take, even if you decide to study all alone, at the very least for the last few months, maybe 2 to 3 months, maybe you can take a teacher or maybe get into some coaching centers for your past papers. For at the very least for that session, I think it's okay to take a teacher if you can manage that. Sometimes you might not manage that. For that case, I went to this server, IGCSE server. I asked some seniors of mine. There's always people willing to help you, so don't be afraid to ask your seniors as well. And I think, oh yes, yes, yeah, right. I totally forgot. I don't have an access to a library, but if you do, I think that will be your biggest asset when you're trying to self study, because library is the best. I think it's probably the best place where you can just focus, because it's a place made for you to just be productive there. Go there and be focused, and there's less distractions over there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I
I
agree
like the
with you on
library, and yeah, just one more point. And if you can, uh, as I said earlier, that take help from your parents, maybe report to your parents, so that you have a little bit of pressure that you don't that you don't if you self study all alone, because you're not at school, and if your parents are not there to give you some pressures, then you know you just have it easy, and it's very very easy to lose your discipline, lose your workflow, get distracted. It can become a problem at that point. All right. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I'm sorry if I made some mistakes in my speeches. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so my A's career began with majority of my classmates having a very inflated ego. We all got many A stars, and we thought that, oh, A's is just a breeze. Funny enough, not even 10 people ended up with A's in the final exams. I was lucky to be one of them, but it was very difficult because I remember my first physics test, I had a U of 17%, and that was the second highest mark. But we kept progressing. So one of the things I picked from getting to higher studies is that keep humble, which is something I really recommend you guys do as well. Another thing that I realized when I came into AS was one of the like sciences, physics and chemistry are going to become extremely content heavy, and physics at A2, also chemistry, will become very mathematical. You'll start understanding things based off of math, including physics. I'm not very sure about chemistry, but including physics, most of it was math by A2. Uh, Then, for content heavy subjects like economics, which are essay based, I realized that leaving things for the last minute is very risky because I ended up pulling all nighters for both my AS and A2 exams, which isn't a very smart idea at all. So please do not do that, as Sajid said. For when I joined A2, I did not perform to my expectations, obviously. So it really brought down my ego even more. So another thing you can pick up from this is that your revision has to be very well spread and well timed, because otherwise you're going to get to the exam and you're not going to be able to cope with the stress because some exams happen on the same day. Another thing that I really think I could have done better during my A2 revision is probably have done more math papers, because the ideology behind math was that you have to practice a lot, you have to expose yourself to a lot of practice questions, and I realized that this was the case for statistics, mechanics. Pure maths, you could kind of wing it if you didn't do many papers, but mechanics and statistics expected you to do many questions. Over A2 must have been one of the hard parts in my A level career, especially during the September to December period, because you're applying to university and you're applying to many universities. You're talking, not talking, sorry, you're applying to many, you're writing many essays, you have to get them checked. And during this time, you're also doing many midterms, which determine your predicted grades. And those are also important for when you're applying to university. Uh, Also, you have to do many admission tests. So it was extremely difficult to cope with that stress of applying to universities while having such content intense syllabi. That's why I don't recommend taking many A levels unless you're 100% sure that you can take many and cope with the stress, especially in A2. Uh, one thing that I really enjoyed about A levels that I would say is that I had a study buddy who was nasal. He motivated me to do papers with him, which was very helpful. So that's why I recommended everyone to get a study buddy because you'll be able to motivate each other and you'll be able to stick to you'll be able to stick to the schedule. You won't slack during past papers because what I realized was when I'm doing past papers on my own, I forget about time and I just completely roam off into something else. So I really recommend you get a study buddy. And finally, I really think that A levels is A levels isn't the best curriculum in my opinion. Unfortunately, I think the Cambridge A level curriculum isn't the best. If personally, you can take it, but personally, I'd recommend the AQA physics, not physics, sorry, AQA A level syllabus. Because to me, from what I saw, it prepared many people for university better. Even though we see that everything is very difficult, the A levels for AQA was much harder, but harder in the sense it prepared everyone better for university. So that's my A levels experience.
Okay, so over here we have a few YouTube channels that we have compiled for you. So we have a list. Please take a quick look at it, and later you can have a look at it when we release the slides as well. Okay, so now we can move on to the Q&A session. Okay, so we will be sharing the questions uh, screen or yes, will we stream the questions for the Q&A or we'll just okay. Okay, so we can begin with the Q&A questions. First, we will answer the questions which have already been sent. Let me try to. Mm, yes. Okay, yes, we can start with the first question. So we'll just try to answer the questions as best as we can. Some of the questions I'll answer, some of them I'll pass on to Sajid and Viper for them to tackle. So the first question we have is how many A levels simultaneously can I do without being too much burden or pressure? So we recommend 3 to 4. If you're worried about um, being burdened or being pressured, then you should take 3 subjects. If you take less than 3 subjects, you run the risk of some universities not recognizing. Not they might say it's not enough. You might need to take 3 or more. So please take 3 at the very least. So the second question is, I'm planning to do A levels immediately after my IGs. So I would be skipping AS. Any tips on how I should structure my time? Sajid, would you like to answer this question?
I think I would have a hard time with that because I am still not done with my A2s and
That's
yeah,
true.
it,
Okay. So,
so yeah.
I would say I think take it slowly. Since you're currently doing your you haven't started your AS, so I would say focus on the AS content first. Then once you have effectively mastered that, just do it slowly, using Pomodoro timer or any revision methods that you will need to figure out yourself. That's what I would stress. You'll need to figure out what works for you, what doesn't, and then go from there. Go slowly, finish the AS content first, and then tackle the final A level or A2 content. How delusional am I for wanting to do further max? Pretty delusional, I would say. But if you're aiming to get into top universities and you're aiming for top engineering programs or math heavy degree programs such as actuarial science, etc., definitely go for further max. If you can tackle the content, only if you can tackle the content, go for it. Psychology, maths, chemistry, and bio, good A level choices. Taking those four plus two baccalaureate Spanish subjects. So I can get into universities here just in case. Now these subjects are a good combination, I would say. But if it's combined with your Spanish curriculum, for this, I would say you should talk to your teachers or to your school to see if you can handle this course load. Since taking four A level subjects is already difficult enough, burdening yourself with two more, local curriculum, it's hard to say whether or not you'll be able to balance yourself with these. Unfortunately, I don't think any of our hosts are from Europe, so I don't think we can advise for your curriculum. So best to check with your school or with your, tutors. What's the maximum A levels I can do in the span of 9 months? I would say zero because you cannot do A levels in 9 months, or you won't really do well. If you do it in 9 months, you can do three or four AS subjects. This depends on you know it depends on your level. You can do three or four AS, but you cannot do full A levels. So A levels is normally done in 2 years, AS in 1 year, A2 in the second year. Some schools, do it faster than 2 years, but definitely in 9 months you cannot finish the full A levels. But you can do AS levels, but it will still be pretty rushed. I'm planning to go into sound engineering in the future. So is music, computer science, max, and a performance EPQ a reasonable combo? I believe the rest of us are taking from the science background. I'm the only one who took more humanities subjects, so I'll try to answer this. I believe it does sound like a good combination. I would still advise you to speak with your music teacher if this combination sounds good. I think the EPQ is a good boost, especially if you're looking at British universities, since those humanities programs, the admissions, they do like to see interest in that subject. You can actually talk about this in your personal statement, your EPQ. For UK universities, at least, yes, doing the EPQ actually would be a boost. It's something you can talk about. It's something you can learn from, and it's something that would help you in your studies. So yes, I think it sounds good, but do check with your music teacher on and your other lecturers on whether or not this is a good combo. Or and you can speak with your GCSE or IGCSE teachers as well on that. How important is further max for competitive universities? Sajid or Viper, I think neither of you took further max, right?
No, I did. I'm not into
Yeah.
university yet, but I believe it is very important if you want to get in the top universities. Like even if it's not stated in the requirement section, but having further maths is a great boost. I believe Ager Pink once said the same.
Mm. Yeah, I think.
Even I checked, just recently I was checking Kyushu University from Japan, and they stated that having further maths would be highly recommended. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Honestly, if your max level is, to that standard or further max, if you're already very good in additional mathematics at IGCSE or O level, and if you're looking to do a very max intensive degree such as actuarial science or engineering or medicine or, more so for engineering, since for medicine you would need to take more sciences, um, then taking further max would boost your application, especially for top universities. So really, in the end, it's up to you. But if you think you can do it, then go for it. You can always drop it, before your AS if you think you cannot cope. Next question is, how much time does one really need to allocate daily to become consistent with studies for three A-level subjects? I want to dive into extracurricular activities, but I'm lacking in confidence as to whether I'm able to manage it or not. Honestly, I would say uh, I think you need to allocate some time daily, but within, if you allocate 3 hours, it's definitely more than enough. Personally, for me, I didn't really study throughout the day. I only study at a specific time, and evenings and nights. Normally I didn't study. I only studied in the mornings and afternoons, and I made sure to take breaks in between. So during the time when you're not studying, so your evenings and nights for me, or for you, it can be a different time period. You can use that time to focus on extracurriculars. Extracurriculars usually help towards US university applications. Usually, universities in the UK or Europe don't really care much about it. If you're more interested on universities, we have an upcoming talk on that where we will dive deeper into that. But I think three A levels plus extracurriculars you can really balance it. But the thing is, you need consistent study. So almost every day, especially as closer to your exams. Because if you don't do that, you will lose out on the routine and you will not be as concentrated when you go into the exam hall. That is what I would say. Next question. Realistically, is it possible to get 5 A's in A levels after IGCSEs? That is the requirement that Oxbridge asks for. Oxbridge only asks for 3 A levels actually. No university asks you to take 5. Maximum will be 4. Actually, all the UK universities, at least, they will only specify 3. 4 is to make yourself more competitive, and 5, no one really asks for that. But if you can really do it, then consider it. But I would not recommend it personally. And is it true that big universities in general do not pay as much attention to IGCSEs as they do to AS and A levels? Yes, in the UK, yes, definitely. But if the more competitive it gets, the more would they want to see straight A's in IGCSEs, like LSE at least, and Oxbridge. They like to see the GCSEs as well, especially if you're applying to more competitive programs like engineering or medicine or PPE, if you know what that is. It gets competitive, yes, or even law. Can I take physics, mathematics, and IT as A level subjects? Sure, you can. Um, but you'll need to see, the degree that you're taking and whether or not they accept it. So if you're looking at more of a STEM degree, they might ask for mathematics at least. So you'll need to look into the university requirements and then approve those subjects. Looking at the subjects, I want to go somewhere in the marketing kind of field. I'll be taking max for sure, but regarding the marketing field, can someone suggest which subjects I should take? And should I or should I not take media studies as a subject? Okay, media studies is not really recognized by some universities, especially those in the UK. They tend to be a bit picky, especially the higher ranked universities. In other countries, generally it should be fine. But for media studies, also for marketing, I would say just take like commerce subjects, take economics. You can take economics from AS level even if you haven't done IGCSE economics. You don't need IGCSE economics. Some people might say that you do. You don't need it. I did A level economics. I come from a purely science background from my IGCSEs, and I was able to cope with it. You just need a good teacher. You can do it. Economics, business is another option. You can even take psychology. Marketing and psychology, they do. There is a connect somewhere. I did psychology. You don't need IGCSE psychology either. You start from the beginning. You can look into other, commerce subjects. Accounting is one as well. So yeah, you have a lot of options there. In O levels, I didn't really have guidance, and I don't think I'll get good grades this time. So can I get into a good university by getting 3 A's? Sajid, would you like to? Okay, I'll just take this question. Um, Honestly, I would say getting those grades, it's really up to the effort that you put in. So it's not something we can answer, but if you can do it, go ahead. I think if you think that you can do it, you can actually get it done. You can get into a good university if your O levels aren't really that great. If you looked at my IGCSE results, which we posted, I kind of tanked my exams, but I feel I did better in my A levels, and I actually talked about that that journey, from IGCSE to AS, and then I actually almost failed my AS in economics, and then I actually retook it to get a better grade. And I actually spoke about this in my personal statement. I think talking about this journey, just explaining yourself to the universities, especially if your grades improve in A levels, I think if you show that progression, if you show that you have improved, you can get into good universities, you can get good scholarships as well. I was able to get a good scholarship as well. So I think it's just really up to you and what you can do. Just put more effort, and I think you can do it. And if you feel that in your O levels you didn't really perform that well, I would suggest you to stick with three subjects for A levels rather than taking four, because taking four might overburden yourself in a sense. The next question, I'm not really sure on what subjects I want to take. I want to take maths and IT. I'm choosing between physics and economics as my third subject. I'm not sure what to pick. I'm not sure what to do. I like economics, but I heard physics will give you more opportunities. Mm, Honestly, if you're Viper, would you like to answer this question?
If you're taking engineering route, take physics. If you're taking a commerce route, take economics. Simple.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. If you're really not sure, take both, and then just drop one of it within 1 or 2 months. You kind of have to decide, because if you take all four, it kind of becomes a bit more confusing. So you kind of have to go towards economics or sciences or engineering STEM, as Viper said. We can move on to the next question. How do I prepare in the summer before my AS year? Like, do I study? Do I make notes? No, don't do anything. Start when you begin classes. You do not have to prepare in advance. If you'd really like to prepare in advance, I would say just look through the course material, look through the textbook, look through the syllabus that is offered for those subjects, but don't start learning anything. Just start when you start with your peers in the classroom. Is further mathematics necessary for molecular biology or biochemistry in uni? Viper?
No,
No, yeah, I don't
it's
think
not.
it's required. Yeah, I think it's not really max intensive, but you do need mathematics, I believe, and you need biology and chemistry, science subjects. Yes. After completing most of my O levels this year, I have no strong desire for one specific field. This is frustrating since A levels should be relevant. Yes, it should be relevant to what you want to study, at least the area you would have to identify. Mm, Okay, is there a way to roughly figure out my interests? I think if you're already keen on biology, then you should look into related subjects, so other science subjects. And if you're good in mathematics, take A level mathematics, especially if you've done AdMax. Take A level mathematics, do bio, and then you can combine it with psychology. I know people who took biology, psychology, and max, and those three subjects are a good combo. You can take either psychology or sociology. Don't do both, because psychology and sociology is quite similar. Some examiners are even the same for both the subjects. Those two are quite similar. So choose either one depending on the teachers that are available, and both are pretty similar. Assuming you don't want to do psychology or sociology as a degree, just choose either. It doesn't matter. Even for a psychology degree, I don't think they ask for. Really depends. That you will need to check. So choose either one from there. Take biology, and if you're good in maths, take maths as well. That's what I would recommend. So the next question,
In
as
my
a student,
opinion, if you don't know
yes,
what, sorry.
Yes, yes,
In my
continue.
opinion, if you don't know what you're going to do, just take a gap year because realistically, you're going to waste your time and money sitting exams that you're not sure if these will lead to the career you ultimately want. So the gap year will be less waste of everything.
Hmm. Yeah, that's another thing you could do. Yes. As a student who is looking forward to take medicine, how many subjects I need to take, and what is the pass grade? The pass grade really depends. For medicine, you need Bs and As at least. You cannot get below Bs, and you will need to take 4 subjects for more competitive programs, especially the UK programs. You will need to take 4, and for a lot of other universities like Europe, they would like to see 4 as well. Pass grade is Bs or As, preferably straight As and A stars even. Chem and bio is enough, and you need mathematics as well. Some unis like to ask for physics as well, but most medical schools don't ask for physics. I believe some do ask for physics as well, but definitely you need chemistry, biology, and maths. And some people like to take commerce subjects like economics, or economics, or some people take language or humanity combined with that as well. Which board is best, A level, Cambridge, or Edexcel? I would say choose. Both are good. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It really depends on what programs are available near your house or near your city. Yeah. I know some people say Edexcel is better. Personally, I did Cambridge for humanities. Cambridge was the best. For sciences, some people do say that Edexcel is better. Um, so moving on to the next question. I have not thought about A levels or AS in that case, but I want to study computers in business. So I was thinking of taking accounting, business, and digital design. Do you think I'll be able to do these subjects in case I don't want to do A levels? Now, a lot of universities don't recognize AS just by itself, so you would be risking if you just do AS. You will need to complete the full A level if you want most universities to recognize the qualification. Same thing for digital design. Some unis like to be picky on what subjects they accept, but most unis should take that subject. But you should try to complete the full A level qualification if you want to do A levels. What subject combination is best for Morse courses?
Yeah, I think KG
That
he
doesn't make
meant
sense.
like how
Yes.
many, like which subject combination will get you uh will allow you to have a wide range of choices when you get into university. Maybe that's what he means.
Hmm.
I
We can
think
move on to
like
the next question. I think.
yeah, I think like if you want to increase your number of courses, possible courses in university, you should like if you for the STEM subjects, then physics, chemistry, math, biology. I think you can pretty much get every STEM subjects by that. As for humanities, I'm not sure. That's your field, KG.
I think for humanities, if you're really, really not sure, I think even if you take those STEM subjects, you can go into humanities. There's nothing stopping you because the requirements are a lot more flexible for humanities subjects. Unless you want to do, it really depends. I know the UK likes to be more picky. The US is not that picky, um, but I think you will need to figure out STEM or humanities. But if you still perform better in STEM subjects at IGCSE level, then stick to STEM for A levels if you're really not sure. But if you already know your interest lies in the humanities, then go for it, or commerce or marketing or business. So I already knew that. Personally, I already knew that I wanted to go into more of the humanities or social sciences field, but I didn't know what degree. So I just chose 3 subjects that aligned with my interests, and I think that worked out well for me. So, how necessary are teachers' tutors for A levels? Can you get good grades with just self studying? I think Sajid would be the best to answer this question.
Well, technically, I'm still not done with my AS results. If I did have them, maybe I could say with more confidence. However, I believe it is possible that you can get good grades with just self-studying. But it depends on you. Do you have the confidence? Have you ideally tried it before? For me, I started self studying about 6 months before O levels, and I realized I was messing up. But in any case, it worked out well for me. My O levels was good. For my AS, I'm not still sure. I don't think I did a very bad exam, but you still feel nervous about it. But I still very well believe that it's possible. A few of my friends are also self studying, and I have seen just one senior, although the example number should also be higher, ideally. But I've just seen one guy, and he did four subjects. He did all exactly the same subjects as me. So he did four subjects, got four A stars, and all of them, you know, like he did it all by himself, studied all by himself. Yeah, it's possible definitely, but as I mentioned in my advice session and in my mistake session, things can get rough. If you can manage that, if you have the confidence, you can try. But if possible, also take the help of teachers. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think I would recommend tutors honestly because actually when I redid one of my exams, I really felt that my tutor was the main reason that my grade improved. But if you do have the self confidence, if you do have that, if you know what to do to get that grade, then definitely self study. But if you don't know what to do to get that grade, then go for a tutor, which is what I did, and I would say it turned out to be, if I didn't go to that tutor, I don't think my grade would have improved. Um, Next question. I'm planning to do astrophysics. What subjects are necessary for that field, and is further max one of them? Viper.
For astrophysics, first of all, astrophysics is a bit of a specialized degree. You'll probably have to do physics with astrophysics or general physics, then specialize. But for now, math, physics, and chemistry, or math, physics, and further math is recommended. Further math isn't needed. It would give you an edge to the maths that's used in the physics degree because it's extremely complex compared to engineering. It goes a bit more deep into applied maths. Engineering kind of trails off into maths that's relative to the engineering course itself. So further maths, I would say, is necessary if you're doing astrophysics.
Hmm. Okay, for the next question, we have. I've been told from many sources that for a CS degree, you don't need CS, but need for the max more. To what extent is this true?
Uh, from what I know about a CS degree, it's extremely math intensive. Therefore, further math will benefit you more than computer science in A level, since the theory taught in computer science and the programming taught can all be learned like during the degree itself. And the CS, like the theory, will be completely different from what you're studying now. So I'd say further maths is more important.
Yes. So for the next question, we have: how do I efficiently study during AS level without getting burnt out? Now we have already covered this in sufficient depth during the slide, so you can refer to our slides for that. For the next question, we have A levels requirement for economics degree in German universities. Is biology, geography, economics, and sociology enough? Now, I don't think any of us applied to German universities. Um, for that, I would say, I think for German, they do like seeing four subjects. Please check the German university website, which is DAAD, I believe. Just look at it online and then see what subjects they recommend. You might need to do a German preparatory program before going to Germany, so do look into that as well. Next question is: should I do anything in the summer between IGs and A levels? So we already answered it previously. No, you don't really need to do anything. But if you're interested in seeing what you will be learning, look at the syllabus, look at the textbook, but you don't need to learn or take any notes or whatever. Just relax, enjoy your holiday. Next question is: how should I prepare for taking computer science in A levels if I didn't take it in IGCSE? Um, are any of us doing computer science?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think
Um,
so. Yeah.
Okay, maybe for that question, we can come back to it later. For the next question, can I take two AS subjects or does it have to be three? So, as we mentioned earlier, taking three will enable you to apply to all universities, and you won't have any issues with some universities that ask for three. If you're doing two, it might run the risk of not being accepted. So please take at least three if you want to do A levels. How does IT differ from computer science? We can come back to this question later as well. So we will try to get someone who has done A-level computer science to address those questions, and then we will basically reply in the chat after the end of the session for those questions. Should some subjects be taken in AS only, and how good or bad is it to take subjects that way? Now, yes, you could take certain subjects like language subjects, and you can take thinking skills or any additional subjects, anything that may not be recognized as a full A level, you can take as an AS. So a language or a thinking skills or a global perspective or an IPQ or EPQ, depending on whether or not that's offered in your country or in your school. But the bad part of this is that it won't be recognized by certain universities, especially those in the UK and in Europe and in Australia. They don't really care for AS or subjects which is not full load A level subjects. US universities might recognize it or they might see it, but they will see it as something additional, so something enriching. So I would say stick with at least three full A levels, and then maybe you can add on an AS if you'd like to. Viper, what do you think?
Yeah, I already answered Vansh's question, but not every the A levels he mentioned, not all of them were important after AS. So
Yeah, like
after by
languages.
A2, I think yeah, especially since the subjects he's taking are very big, so I'd recommend he trim it down to like five or four.
Yeah. Another approach you could do is to take five AS levels. The fifth subject can be a language or something else, and then drop that after AS, even if you get an A. That's something you could do as well. So the next question is for Max at Excel, we have pure statistics and mechanics. I know that pure is compulsory, and I am confused about whether to take mechanics or statistics. Actually, this is the same for Cambridge as well. I believe you have to choose between mechanics and statistics. I'll leave this question to Sajid or Viper since I didn't take Max.
So
For medicine, you should
okay.
take statistics.
Yeah, I would
Sorry?
agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. Statistics.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think many people do tell that statistics is a bit easier than mechanics. I'm not too sure about that. It depends. I think it depends on the person. Yeah, that could be another thing you want to consider as well.
Yeah, I think mechanics is more suited for like STEM or engineering field, I believe. So yeah. So we can move on to the next question. If someone hasn't done AdMax at IGCSE but have done EMAX, so EMAX refers to normal mathematics well, should they study Max and further Max together for 2 years at A levels, or should they do Max in the first year and then do A2 Max and all of the further Max? Now, if you haven't done AdMax at IGCSE, the AS Max itself would be AdMax. So that's something you need to know. And then I think you should do the latter, which is take Max first, build the foundation, and then do A2 Max. And then I wouldn't actually advise taking further Max on top of that, since it will be even more challenging and you might need more than 2 years for that. Viper, what would you advise?
I mean, I don't mind if someone does take further maths after not doing add maths. It's totally doable. It's just
Hmm.
better if you have add maths since it gives you like, first of all, it reduces your AS workload since a lot of it is add maths. Second of all, you'll be more familiarized with notation and it'll just make more sense. But you can still do it without add maths.
Yeah, I would agree as well. It is doable. It's just that you'll need to put in the work if you choose to do it. For the next question, we will skip this question. The next question after that is, how do I prepare for AS and A levels during holidays? Now, holidays before you start the AS, again, you don't have to do anything. If you're interested, just look at the syllabus or books for A levels. During the holidays between AS and A2, same thing. Just look at it, but you don't really have to start studying. Enjoy your holiday, is what I would say. Next question is ACE diploma worth going for?
KG.
ACE diploma is basically just 6 AS levels done over 2 years. So I know they mostly offer that in the US and in some countries as well. If the ACE diploma is the norm in your country, then I would say going for it is, you could go for it. Yes, if ACE diploma is the norm. So if you're an American student, yes, ACE diploma is definitely, I think, better than doing A levels. uh, if your school does that normally, but since none of us have that much of information, I would say it's better to speak with one of your teachers who is currently teaching for ACE diploma. Try to reach out to someone who is already in the curriculum as well. The next question is, I want to take 4 subjects in A levels: physics, bio, maths, and something else, and I want to know how exactly I might have to study each day, like how much to study in advance, how long to spend each day studying, and how much hair I'll be losing. Okay, maybe one of you guys can answer the question. Sajid can.
All right, I think I will go for it. Something else. Okay, and I want to take 4 A levels and to know exactly how I might have to study each day, like how much to study, how long to spend each day. As for how long, maybe, and I think it depends on the person, but mm, you're also doing school, right? If you have school, then you don't want to overburden yourself. So I think after school, maybe 3 hours is good enough. As you said before, uh, how much to study in advance? If you're doing school, I think I think it's okay if you're just one topic advanced of them. Just let's say they're going to study chapter 2 tomorrow. We're done with chapter 1. Maybe you should just maybe read through chapter 2 first. Maybe even finish it if you want, but without overburdening yourself, of course. And that way, maybe when you're studying by yourself, you get some questions. You're confused. You can ask them in the class, and that kind of helps. Like you always don't get instant questions during the class. Sometimes in after class you think, oh, I could have asked that, I didn't get to ask that. So maybe just do that. And as for the hair, I think it mostly depends on your genetics. So just pray, man, just pray.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We can move on to the next question. If I did IGCSE homeschooled, would it be better to continue doing A levels as a homeschool, or should I enroll in some kind of online course? I think Sajid would be the best person to answer this question as well, and the question
um
after that as well. Oh, you didn't take computer science, so yeah.
Well, I think it's nice to have that extra help from the teachers. As I mentioned, that the best combination is probably self-studying and some help from the teacher. One teacher once told me that 90% of the work is you're doing and 10% is my assistance. So, if possible, maybe just do all of it yourself if you can, if you have again the self-confidence, if you think you can do it, if you think it's not too much of a burden, go on. But for at the end of it, maybe when you're starting the past papers, maybe take some, well, schools might not be an option. If there's like coaching centers are available for you, it is in my place, then maybe you can do that, or maybe get a private tutor. I think that should help. But as I mentioned, the negative side effects of homeschooling, you will lose out on socializing and much of your school years. So also think about that if you'd like to do that or not.
Mm, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think socializing will be more difficult. Might be more difficult to get make connections and get a girlfriend. Just kidding. I don't think you'll have time for that. Uh, the next question: can A-level computer science be taken as a private candidate? We can go back to this question later, and I'll get someone who has actually done computer science to handle all those questions. The next question is: I
So
want
I
to know.
just
Yeah,
want to add one thing. I'm not
yeah.
doing A-level computer science, but I am, learning programming by myself at home. So maybe you can, maybe you can due to the practicals, but aren't the practicals on? Okay, I actually don't know that part, but I think you can learn if as at least for the programming parts and the coding parts, you can learn them online. But as for the exam bit, maybe get some help.
Okay. So the next question is: I want to do law in uni, but I don't know what A-level subjects to pick. Okay, so I didn't take law, but my friend did law, and I would say take essay-based subjects. So this can include psychology, history, economics, English literature, any essay-based subjects. Take maths as well if you feel your maths is strong enough. Take maths as well. Maths can be combined with any other subject, so take maths if you can. If you can do maths, don't take it. I didn't take it because I knew I couldn't, and take essay-based subjects. That's what universities usually like to recommend. Even if you look at UK universities, if you look up the requirements, they mention that you should take essay-based subjects. They actually prefer that, but no specific subjects. There is A-level law, but I wouldn't recommend doing it simply because you actually learn the law content in your first year of studies. But if A-level law is available, do take it. But some unis actually don't like to see it, but most unis will take it. Look into that as well, but no university will make it a requirement for you to do law A level. So just take essay based subjects and you should be good. I just wanted to ask which subjects are suitable for a person who doesn't have a specific career in mind. Okay, as we mentioned, at least you need to identify a specific area, so sciences or humanities or commerce or social sciences. You need to identify that area and then pick subjects from those areas, which is available to you and which you think you might like. That's the best approach I would recommend. I wouldn't just recommend for you to do sciences because you might not like it. So you have to identify that area and then you have to go from there. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're actually good in maths, then take that as the first subject and then add on with that subjects from that area that you are more inclined towards. The next question is quite long. Maybe we can get back to it later, since I think time is at the essence. Okay, the next question is: how should one plan out studying over the year? I think we have covered this briefly in some depth in our slides, so you can refer to that later on. But I think what I would say here is you will need to find out what works for you. If we suggest some ideas in planning out your studies, you could try that. It might work for you, it might not work for you. We suggested some in the slides, so you'll just need to find out what works for you and then go from there. Yeah. Next question is: I'll be starting my A levels in July. Shall I prep beforehand? You don't have to. Also, should I start preparing for MCAT UCAT early? That's for medicine, I believe. Viper, do you have any knowledge on that?
Uh,
But I don't think you would
I
need to
think
prepare.
I think the UCAT, from what I know, is a extremely difficult exam. I'm not sure how to prepare for it, but it would be probably useful to prepare beforehand because the UCAT, it's first of all failed by a lot of people, from what I know. It's also very different for every candidate because they kind of merge questions and they also differ for some questions. So not every candidate will have the same thing. so it makes it much harder. So yeah, I would think it would be best to prepare early.
Yes, I would agree as well. Um, Preparing early might, but the MCAT is mostly for graduate medical school entry in the US. So if you're looking at UK schools or Australian schools or Singaporean schools or New Zealand, I think UCAT is the more common one. And I think some unis like Cambridge, they might have their own tests. So you will need to look into what is required, and then I think preparing early might be effective. But you really have to be focused on that, since getting into medical school in the first place is quite hard, and then you'll need to find the fund. You'll need to look into the funding aspect, which is I think we'll cover this more in depth during the university's talk as well. Yeah. The next question is currently doing an online internship and I feel like I'm wasting my summer vacation. Can someone share their insights on my situation? Honestly, I feel that you should just do what works for you. If you feel that it's burdensome, then take a break. You can always say no. You can always say, I want to take a break. I don't want to work with you anymore. I want to move on to something else. See what works for you. Don't overburden yourself. Enjoy your holiday before you get into the long struggle, which is worth it, which is called A level. So just see what works for you and take it easy. Don't put too much effort on things that you might feel is not really benefiting you. And next question is there anything that I should do in the holidays before? No. How do I manage studying for lots of A level subjects while not losing track? I have seven. First of all, I wouldn't recommend taking seven, but in the end, the decision is up to you. I think we already covered managing studying, but taking seven is quite massive, and really, I think you'll just need to see what works for you again. And we did cover managing studying in our slides as well. So we'll move on to the next question. I don't know what subjects to do. I want to do law at uni. So I think you are the same person who actually asked the previous question. So again, just stick to. I'm not sure if you're the same person, but just stick to essay-based subjects for law. But actually, you could take STEM subjects and apply for law. They will recognize it actually. But essay-based subjects are preferable because in a law degree, you have to write a lot, you have to analyze a lot, you have to reason a lot. Since it's a very humanities or social science degree, how do I study for edXL Max? I think Sajid would be the best person to answer.
Okay, so I think it depends on the person. Like, if you are good at maths, then you can skip some questions, Like, for me, I didn't do all the questions. And I took admaths in O levels, so which really helped with my AS. So I didn't do much questions. I just, did some few and checked if to see if they were correct or not, then moved on. I just went a bit quick with it. However, like with maths, it's usually best to do as many as you can. But I think, mm,
Hmm.
if you're having trouble with the harder ones, let's say, then you should do more of the textbook ones. But if you think you're managing the textbook ones just fine, then I think it's okay to move on.
Okay, we can move on to the next question. Or do we have a next question? Okay, so that is the end of our questions for this talk. Unfortunately, we do not have any more time for any live questions, so I do apologize for that. Thank you all. Thank you everyone who is still here. We'll wait for the slide. Thank you everyone for attending the event, and we hope to see you in future events soon. We have a talk on universities which is coming up, and I'd love for everyone to attend. And we will be sure to make sure everything runs smoothly for the next event. We will share this recording and the slides soon in the resource updates channel as well. So yes, thank you everyone for attending the event, and hope to see you all for our future events as well.
Thank you, KG, for managing this whole session. Honestly, it's not a man.
Yes, I need to eat my dinner. So
You literally carried this whole session. Man. Viper was asleep.
yeah, you can stop recording on Craig as well.